Hi, I'm Robin Waite, author of best-selling book Online Business Startup, and I'm going to give you a few hints and tips about how to create the perfect content strategy for your online business. So the first thing I'm going to look at isn't necessarily about a strategy, but it's just a big tip. Most small business owners are really busy people, which I imagine you can probably include yourself within that. I know I'm very busy. So I just ask you to look at the tasks that you're doing on a day-to-day basis and work out which of those tasks are essential and which are non-essential tasks. So the likelihood is that you probably have to be there to design your products or deliver your services or whatever it might be. Things like content marketing, social media marketing, video marketing, I would consider those to be, that you do need to do them because you've got to market your business. That's really important. However, you don't actually, I consider them to be non-essential tasks in your business because these are things that you can outsource a great deal of the work for. So I'll talk about that a bit later on. So many businesses suffer with a lack of time. And a lot of these tasks, non-essential tasks, can be outsourced to other people. So whether that's a virtual assistant, you could get a PA, you could get an office administrator in, you could get an apprentice in, you could get whatever, you could get somebody else in to do a lot of the grunt work for you. Obviously with things like creating the content itself, so standing in front of the camera like this, or writing those blog articles, come up with the content with the blog articles, yeah, you need to do that bit of the work, but everything else, hand over to somebody else if you can. The second tip I've got, which is based around, is content planning basically. How do you go about creating or planning a content structure that you know that you can easily implement? So I run a workshop called a 52-week content strategy workshop, where I give people a framework which allows them to create 52 blog articles, videos, whatever it might be, over the course of a year. So that's just one a week. So one a week feels to me like it's achievable. If I asked you to make 50 videos, you'd probably laugh at me and say, well, that's a joke, that's going to take forever. But if I asked you to make one short video a week, well, all of a sudden it starts to become manageable. So the idea behind the 52-week content strategy is to break it down into really manageable small chunks. So simple process, open up an Excel spreadsheet. Across the rows at the row at the top, put in a number of different topics or categories that you're an expert in that you could talk about. So for me, I might have web design, online marketing, video marketing, branding. So I'll have like, I don't know, half a dozen or a dozen column headings across the top. In the rows underneath those, then you can start to come up with specific topics within those that you might want to talk about. So under branding, it might be color schemes and fonts. It might be use of colors within logos. It might be typography. It might be DIY logos versus paying a branding expert. So you can come up with a number of different articles, titles of articles that you're then going to write or talk about during your videos or blog articles. And lo and behold, so let's say for example you've created 6 different categories, you've got 8 different topics you're going to write about underneath each category. All of a sudden you've got 48 different articles. So that's almost a year's worth of content if you're going to release one article a week. So that feels to me like it's much more manageable. The next step is how do you actually go about implementing that? Because it's all well and good having this pretty, 52-week content strategy framework if you're not going to implement it. It's not even pretty enough to stick on a wall and look at. It's a useful reminder to actually get a project management tool or put notes into your Outlook calendar or use a tool like ToDoIst, which will automatically send you reminders for when you should be creating your content and when you should be publishing that content. Most of us require a carrot or a stick. I think sadly when it comes to content marketing it's a stick, and we need that reminder from ToDoIst or Outlook on a weekly basis just to get our minds focused on the content and the piece of content we're going to be reminded about. And so within that, it's not just a reminder to say you need to go and make a video. It's a reminder to say you need to go and create a video about branding, specifically about typography. So it's really clear what it is that you're going to be making that video about, so you don't have to go back and look it up or whatever. You can just get in front of the camera or start typing a blog article and just flows, it comes out naturally, and try and make it so it's second nature. A couple of months down the road, this will become habitual. You will naturally find yourself waiting for that reminder to come in to tell you what you need to be writing about. You may even do 2 or 3 articles in a row. Who knows, you may do 2 months worth of content in a row, and then all you've got to worry about then is scheduling it and publishing it on the weekly basis that you had planned. One of the reasons why I recommend recording content rather than just typing it is because most people can only type at 30, 35, 40 words per minute at the most, unless you're a typist. Whereas when you speak, you think at the same pace you speak at, and most people speak at about 90 to 100 words per minute. So not only can you get more content out in the same time when you're speaking it or recording it, also it means that you're speaking at the same rate you think. And again, like if you have to slow down to type things up, it just doesn't flow as well. So when you're talking, it just flows much better. And then upload it somewhere to YouTube or onto SoundCloud, and then pay somebody on rev.com to transcribe it for you so you get your blog articles back out of it. Equally, if you go video first, like I'm doing, you've then got the video content, publish it onto YouTube, then get it transcribed. You've got a podcast, you can extract the audio out of it. You've got a blog article. There's all sorts you can do with your content at that point. So how does this link in with social media, for example? So the next thing you've done once you've created your new piece of content is you're going to want to market it and publicize it so that you can draw attention to it and hopefully draw traffic back to your website. So what you want to do is share this content, which you published on your website, on your YouTube channel, or on a slide deck or SoundCloud, through your various different social media profiles. So we're talking here about the main big 4, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn and Twitter. You may also want to, if what you do is very visual, you may also want to consider things like Pinterest and Instagram. These are other, Instagram's growing massively at the moment. I think it's probably the fastest growing social media platform out there just at the moment. And also you may want to choose to share other people's insightful content. So rather than just writing content from here, look up other people's content and put your comments against it. Whether you agree with it, disagree with it, if you've got anything you can add to it, how can you add value to it? And then finally, you also might want to consider sort of sharing interesting stats and tips and quotes with your audience, because they may not be sold on your product or your service, but just building trust through giving them useful information might be one way of engaging them. So just to summarise those key points, first of all, look at what are essential versus non-essential tasks that you're doing based around your content structure, content strategy. Secondly, make sure you implement a 52-week content plan so that your content is mapped out throughout the next year. Find a task management tool which you like. We use ToDoIst, but you could set reminders in Outlook, for example. You could also save a bit of time by recording your audio, your video, and then paying rev.com to transcribe it for you. And then finally, you want to make sure that you publicize that content you're pushing out via your social media platforms. So I hope you found that video useful. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see get some more useful tips about content marketing and strategy. And if you've got any questions about this specific video, then please do leave them in the comments box below.